Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, this is the end of my journey to give you my 25 favorite movies of all time. So if you haven't seen this video series before, what we are doing is every month we are giving you a top 25 video of my favorite movies of a certain genre, leading up until my birthday, which is the day that this will be posted, where we give you my 25 favorite films of all time for both my 25th birthday and the year 2025. So if you haven't seen the other 4 videos, we have done horror, comedy, action, sci-fi, and drama. I can link all 4 of those in the description below in this one. But we are finally here at my 25 favorite movies of all time. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, starting off, I got my list here, so I'll be referring to that throughout the video. And this will be just a casual video of me going through my favorite movies. I have them all ranked. This was very hard to do. I think I had a list of like 70 films that I was trying to narrow down here. So one day, you know, maybe my 30th or my whatever birthday, I can add more films to this list, make it a little easier for me. But for now, this is what I have it narrowed down to. And I actually have 26 here of an honorable mention because there's one movie series that I didn't want it to flood the list. So I kind of just threw it in at the end as a, you know, this had to be mentioned. So I'm going to start off with that honorable mention and then get into my list. So coming in for my honorable mention, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. I have told people for many years now that this is the most important movie trilogy in my life because I love Marvel and I love music so much, and this movie really does that perfectly. In my opinion, these are some of the best made Marvel movies. I think James Gunn is a masterclass in movie making, and I'm very excited we can do over in the DCU. And when it comes to music, you always have Quill's little playlist, whether it's his iPod or his tapes that he has from his mom. It's a great way to, you know, have the music, you know, attached to the movie and play throughout like a soundtrack. I really love these films, and they have really shaped who I am in terms of the movies and the music that I enjoy in my life. So I didn't want all 3 to be splattered around this list and take over, so therefore I threw them all in as a little mention in the beginning. But now, breaking into my top 25, at 25 we have American Beauty. This is not a movie that I grew up with or watched a lot during my life, during my first 25 years. I actually recently watched this movie for the first time maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and since then I think I've watched it every single year. I find this movie to be a great movie just on all aspects. I think the script is amazing, I think the acting is amazing, I think the story is top tier, and this movie really knows how to pull you in and keep you intrigued and interested in the story. While a lot of these characters are very despicable or, you know, not great human beings, you just want to watch and you can't look away as they keep going down these wrong paths and keep doing these wrong things and just dive further and further into this hole that they are making for themselves. At number 24, a movie that is quite opposite of American Beauty, we have Pursuit of Happiness. This is a film where the characters involved are actually great people and they are working to better themselves and dig themselves out of a hole into a great place in life. We have the main character played by Will Smith, and his son also plays his son in the movie. And this is a great true story that couldn't help but make you smile and cry every time you watch it. You're rooting for this guy the whole time, and spoiler if you haven't seen it yet, when he finally makes it to the top and gets the job and becomes successful, you just feel happy for him as you would for like a real friend in your life. At number 23, I can see this video is going to be a huge tonal shift going all over the place, but that's because I'm taking all those genres and combining them into one, and we have The Hangover. This is probably the most important comedy of my life because I saw this in the theaters at an age where I was probably way too young to be seeing The Hangover, and it absolutely rocked my world. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was the funniest thing to me at that point, and still today it's funny as hell. I can quote this movie almost every single line. I love it so much, and it's probably up there in like my top 5 comedies of all time. At number 22, we have Django Unchained, and this is from director Quentin Tarantino, who you will see quite a few times on this list, being that he is my favorite director of all time. This, I think, may be the coolest comeback or revenge story of all time, where you have Django, this man who is a slave who becomes freed and just goes on this revenge trip with Christoph Waltz to save his wife and take down the slave owners who, wronged him and his wife. It is, in my opinion, one of the coolest revenge stories ever, and the fact that it takes place in America and you can kind of like see the history of this country is just another cherry on top. At 21, we have 12 Angry Men, and this is probably my favorite movie that takes place in one setting. The whole entire film takes place in this jury room where you have 12 men from the jury and sometimes another man who's like, working at the court, walking in and out. And they just sit there, and without you ever seeing the case or being a part of, the actual process with the judge and everything, you just have to learn the facts or the not facts from these men as they sit there and discuss around the table if they think that the person being charged is guilty or not guilty. And you have to watch along with them as you're almost like a 13th juror member, and you're trying to decide for yourself, is he guilty? Is he not guilty? What really happened here? And it's fun because just like these men, you didn't see the crime. The movie didn't hold your hand and walk you through it. You're just sitting there on the edge of your seat trying to figure out what is going on. At number 20, one of my favorite movies from the 80s, which is one of my favorite decades. I know I wasn't born then or alive then or anything, but I love retro stuff, and I think the 80s is probably my favorite. We have Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is one of those films that, on a base level, I don't think you can consider it one of like the 25 greatest movies of all time, but it's just a comedy and a coming-of-age story that really works. You have all these different quirky characters, and they're all, just kind of trying to get through high school and get through life and find their own place. And you just go along the journey with them, and you laugh at them, you love them. You get Jeff Spicoli here, who's like a top 10 movie character of all time, and it's just a truly fun time to watch. At number 19, we have Step Brothers. And I know I said I can quote Hangover all the way through, but this is probably my most quotable movie of all time. I think I could put on Step Brothers on mute and just say the whole movie from start to finish, no failure. I think me and my friends have done that before, just hanging out. This is probably one of the most important movies of my coming of age years, of my middle school, high school years. I couldn't tell you how many times me and my friends, hanging out at night in my basement, just played Xbox and watched Step Brothers, and that was our night, and we had a great time. This is a great film, and it will forever always be one of my favorites. At number 18, I have my first ever favorite scary movie, and that is Scream. When I first watched this movie, it absolutely floored me. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was so fun. I didn't know a scary movie could also be so funny and entertaining while scaring you at the same time. After I watched this, I quickly sought out Scream 2 and 3 so I could watch the whole trilogy that currently existed at that point. This is before we had Screams 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, I love this whole movie trilogy. My favorite growing up was always 2, but recently in modern years, as I rewatched them, Scream 1 has topped and become my favorite, as you see from this list. And I really think this may be a perfect horror movie. The way they're able to balance all the characters where you really feel for them, and the whole mystery whodunit actually works here, what is shocking at the end. It's quotable, it's memorable, it's funny. And you have these characters who have lived on through pop culture for years in Dewey, Gale, and Sydney. It's just a great movie, a great franchise, and I can't wait to see what else we get from this series. At number 17, we have Superbad. And talking about coming-of-age films, this movie was perfect for me because when I saw it, I was like 13, 14 years old for the first time, and I watched it continuously until I graduated college. I still watch it today, but this movie truly is like how it was growing up for me in the 2000s. When you watch this movie and you see them like trying to go out and buy alcohol and trying to impress these girls and trying to get into these parties, and everything just goes crazy. And as a young, as a young person growing up in the 2000s, this is truly how your life was. Like, you're just going from scenario to scenario with no care in the world and just trying to find your next place to hang out. And that's exactly how this movie goes, and that's exactly how me and my friends felt. I love this movie so much. Every scene is memorable, and it's a great time to watch. At 16, we have Night of the Living Dead. My favorite movie genre of all time is the horror genre, and my favorite subgenre within that genre has to be zombie movies. I love zombie movies. I watch them all the time. I have so many of them like on repeat in my house, like Zombieland and Return of the Living Dead and even Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse. There's so many of these random films that I'm always watching. They just like sit next to my DVD player in my bedroom and they're just waiting for me to put them on. I love this genre so much, and when it comes to like the cream of the crop, the best of this genre, I truly do believe it was made perfect in 1968 by George Romero with Night of the Living Dead. I don't know if there's another movie that tops this movie when it comes to zombie horror or zombie, drama. Just the story we get and these characters that we get, and the way how it's also a social impact story about like racism in the United States at the time, I think is really cool. I love how George Romero makes these zombie films, not just trying to scare you with zombies, but also trying to tell you a deeper meaning, like racism with this one, or consumerism with Dawn of the Dead. I think it's very cool how he's able to do that and teach you a lesson as you watch along. I forever think this will be the greatest zombie movie ever made. At number 15, we have Goodfellas. And as an Italian American who grew up with a big, strong Italian family, the Italian culture was very prevalent in my life. Everyone thinks that I should love The Godfather, but for me, this is the #1 Italian gangster movie of all time. I think Goodfellas is the best of the best. I prefer it over Godfather. I'd watch it over Godfather all the time, and I really do think that this is the best story ever made for an Italian mobster society, an Italian mobster like day in the life movie. At number 14, we have Dead Poet Society, and this is a movie that can really shape your life and make you feel if you watch it at the right age. If you're out there right now and you're watching my channel and you have a young kid who's in middle school or high school, or you are a young kid in middle school or high school, I highly recommend you seek this movie out and put it on. It will change your life, it will inspire you, and it will push you to want to do big things in your life. When I graduated college, I was given this plaque to put your diploma in, and in the plaque you can add a little quote, and for my quote I wrote, "Carpe diem, seize the day, make your life extraordinary." If you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about and you know why I put that in there as my quote. This movie is life-changing, and I promise you, if you watch it at the right time in your life, it will truly impact you and have a forever lasting impact on you. At number 13, we have The Wolf of Wall Street, another movie that came out in the perfect time for my life when I'm going through this like coming of age years in my life. I think I was freshly in high school or freshly out of middle school when this came out, if I'm remembering correctly. This movie is the type of movie where if you watch it as a teenage boy, it will inspire you, but for all the wrong reasons you realize when you're older. The characters in this movie are not good characters at all, but you just go along on the ride with them, and you can't help but have fun and yes, I know it's not great to say, but at that time in your life, you want to live like them. You want that lifestyle. Now that I'm older and more mature, I know that that is not a good lifestyle to have, but at the time, it's just a non-stop action ride of a movie, and I think this may be Leonardo DiCaprio's best role. This may be Martin Scorsese's best film. It's just all around a great movie. At number 12, we have Jurassic Park. I think out of all the films on this list, this might be the earliest watch in my life because my Nan and Papa had this on VHS at their house. And when me and my cousins were younger, especially me and my guy cousins, we would always pop this one in. They had the VHS player in like their little sitting area, and we constantly put in Jurassic Park. Me and my one cousin love this movie. We still go see the new Jurassic Worlds when they come out, even though they're not as good. And I just think this is a very, very strong classic film that will live on forever. While it is cool to just see these dinosaurs and see this dinosaur action, this movie has a lot of like awe-inspiring shots. I think that shot when they first arrive and they roll down their windows and they look out and see all the dinosaurs walking around, I get goosebumps every time I see it. It may be the most beautiful shot in movie history. And there's also a lot of memorable quotes like "life finds a way" and all these things that really make you think and feel as well. So it's a sci-fi action movie that can make you feel, has some of the greatest shots of all time. I just had to put it in my top 25. At number 11, we have Tarantino once again with Inglourious Basterds. And when I said Django is my favorite revenge movie, this is probably my favorite war movie. It may come as a shock to a lot of you guys, but I'm not the biggest war movie fan. There's a few that I really do love. Like, I really enjoyed All Quiet on the Western Front from a couple years back. But if I do have to watch a war film, I am always going to pick this one. The whole story with, again, being a revenge story of the girl who escapes from the beginning and then comes back in the end to own the movie theater and just save the day. You get Brad Pitt's probably his best performance in Lieutenant Aldo Raine. He's also very quotable and funny in this movie. I know Tarantino considers this to be his best film. I do have one higher than that, and you'll see it on this list. I just think all around it's very well written. The dialogue is very fresh and very fun, which we don't get a lot of great dialogue nowadays in movies, so it's good to see that. And I think the greatest movie villain of all time is in this film. I think that Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa is the greatest villain I've ever seen. At number 10, we have The Silence of the Lambs. And I don't know if you guys would consider this a horror film or not. I personally do. And I would probably say it is the most well-made, put-together horror movie of all time. You know, the horror genre is my favorite genre, and I have a lot of fun with it. Even the shitty movies I love and I have fun with, and I, love to put them on and watch them. But for me, this movie goes deeper than that, and I think that's the reason people find, a struggle with calling it a horror movie is because it's so good, and horror movies aren't supposed to be these great films. They're just supposed to be like fun, dumb movies you put on the background. But you get some incredible characters in this, like Clarice and Hannibal Lecter, who Hannibal Lecter might be the most interesting movie character ever put to screen because while he's a terrible person and an evil man, you have him in this sense where he's also compared to like Buffalo Bill, who is just crazy, maniacal, and an awful person, where you kind of find yourself rooting for Hannibal Lecter to like get out and to win the situation, which I don't know how the filmmakers made you want to root for a cannibal, but like I said, this movie is so well made, so well put together. And Hannibal Lecter is one of the most charismatic characters of all time, and that just shows how great of a job and of a performance this was. Coming in at number 9, we have one of my favorite movies of all time by one of my favorite directors of all time, and that is Fight Club. Coming at number 8, we have 2001: A Space Odyssey. Going back to saying my favorite directors of all time, we have Stanley Kubrick, who for me might be number 2 behind Quentin Tarantino, and this is my favorite Kubrick outing. The way that this movie has really no story, but you have to like sit there and put a story together in your head when it ends, it's truly beautiful, because the first time I watched this alone in my basement, and all I could think was, Hal is freaky as hell, the visuals are stunning and amazing, but this movie really doesn't make any sense. Then after turning it off, I couldn't help but think about it for like weeks on end. So I watched it again, and I came up with my own theory of what Kubrick meant by this film. Then, years later, I watched it with my dad, I watched it with my girlfriend, I watched it with her brother, I watched it with all these different people, and every time this movie ends, I always find myself having a conversation with them about what they felt like the movie was about, what they thought the arcing story or lesson was here. And what I find interesting is, everybody who watches it loves the film, but they all have different reasons why, and they all have different, feelings of what they think this movie really means or what it was written about. And I think that's truly outstanding, that a movie can be this great, can be this beloved by people, and have no meaning, but also a million meanings at once. At number 7, we have Dazed and Confused. I said the 80s is my favorite decade. The 70s is right before this. This movie was made in the 1990s as a, love letter to the 70s from the director and the people who made this film. This movie is another one that really has no overarching story or plot or morals or lesson here. It's just a bunch of people on the last day of high school looking for a party. And we just meet all these different odds and ends characters. We don't really spend a lot of time with too many of them. I think the main characters here might be Randall Pink Floyd and can't think of his name right now, but the kid with the long hair who plays baseball. We really follow their stories for the majority of the film. But then again, there's not really a story for them. It's just them trying to find a way to go out and party. And I think that's the beauty of this movie is, back when you're in high school, are you really looking for a moral or for the reason of life? Or are you just looking to have fun with your friends? And that's what we're doing. We're just sitting here watching a bunch of high schoolers look for ways to have fun with their friends, and it just feels so real and it feels so lively that I think this is why this movie resonates for a lot of people, and I think it resonates for me. On top of that, like I said, movies and music, I love it, and this is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I own this soundtrack and I listen to it nonstop. At number 6, we have The Breakfast Club. And I feel like I keep mentioning coming of age stories on this list. It's truly something that's important to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I got into movies when I was in high school, and that's when I was going through like these same things in life that all these characters were going through. But Breakfast Club may be one of the best coming of age stories of all time. You have these 5 very different characters who are stuck in a weekend detention at their school, and they have to, even though they aren't friends with each other or don't really like the same things, they have to spend the entire day together, and they're not going to just sit there and quiet, so they talk, they hang out, and you see throughout the movie as they progress as people during just this one detention period, and they grow and they become friends, and they, share stories and share feelings, and you really get to take all 5 of these characters and break them down to like the most deep, meaningful aspects of themselves. You get to see their struggles, you get to see what makes them happy, you get to see, their upbringings and if they had good parents or bad parents, or how parenting changed them, how lifestyle changed them, how their friend groups changed them. And they all get to learn from one another. And it's a kind of bittersweet ending when you get there and all the characters say, if I saw you in school tomorrow, would we be friends? Would we talk? And a lot of them say no. But while that does make you feel sad, you do have to realize that while they're going back to their friend groups, they're going back to being the jock or the burnout or the nerd, they still changed that day, and it truly, meant something for their lives. And when you're that young and you're that impressionable, days like that and moments like that can actually make huge impressions on your life. And I think that's the moral of the story, and I think it's beautiful to watch with these 5 very different characters. At number 5, probably my most quotable movie of all time, the movie that was always on in my house growing up because I loved it, my parents loved it, my sister loved it. Now that I share with my girlfriend, she loves it, and she thinks that I got my personality from this movie, and maybe I shouldn't have watched it so much growing up. We have School of Rock. Jack Black is my favorite character of all time in this film. I think he might be one of my favorite actors of all time as I watch him in more stuff. He's just so charismatic, and this dude can take, cheap, schlocky films like Minecraft and make them fun. So I love this movie. I love the music in it. I know it's not like a broken record, but movies, music put together, it's my cup of tea. I can quote all the lines. I love every aspect of this movie. And things that happen in everyday life, I think I quote this film like probably twice, 3 times a day. I just think it's an awesome story about this dude who is a burnout, wannabe rock star who really isn't going anywhere in life. He can't pay his rent. He sleeps in like a cubby in his buddy's house. And as a prank against his roommate, his buddy, he takes a job to tempt these kids and be their teacher for a little bit. And not only does he help these kids grow when they're young, in music and in life lessons, but they help him grow to become a better person and no longer this, just bum who just lays around the house all day. And I think it's an absolutely great story with a great cast, and on top of all that, like I said, great music. At number 4, we have Perks of Being a Wallflower. Like I said, broken record here, coming of age films, this is the best for me. I don't know if it's the point in my life that I watched it. I was going through some stuff when I was early on in my college years, and a lot of people growing up, they have times in their life when they don't feel completely satisfied, or anxiety comes at them, and that's when I decided to watch this movie for the first time. And this movie truly made me feel a way that not a lot of movies can make people feel. When I say that, movies and music and media can really change your life, this one did, and for me, it did for the better. I saw myself in the characters of this film. I saw myself in the things that were going on in this film. And from feeling so low at different scenes because of things that are happening, to feeling like you're on top of the world when they're, listen to the David Bowie song and they're standing out of the sunroof, or they're at the party. The way that this movie can make me feel every emotion in an hour and a half and fully change my perspective on the day and my perspective on my life at that moment, it will forever be a top 5 film for me. At number 3, I have all these great, well-acclaimed movies up top, and then here we are with Zombieland. I don't know what it is about this movie. I don't know if it's because I watched it with my guy cousins growing up and we had an absolute blast watching it. I really don't know what it is. I love it. I love horror. I love zombies. This is my favorite zombie horror film of all time. The characters are awesome. You get, Tallahassee and you get Little Rock, and they're all named after their hometowns. And the whole movie is really just a journey of these 4 people who are all alone in the zombie apocalypse, but they come together and they, try to get back to where they belong. And at the end, they realize that they all just belong together. And it's a cool story because on top of that, really heartfelt moment when they realize they belong together, you just get insane comedy throughout. You get Bill Murray in these certain scenes, and he absolutely steals the show when he's in it. You get the scenes where they're looking for the Twinkies and they just find snowballs. Everything in this movie is so funny to me. Zombie Kill of the Week. It takes everything you love about the zombie genre and the horror genre and puts into this perfect comedy mix-match mess of a film that I can't help but love. At number 2, and this movie hurt me to put it number 2 because I really think these top 2 films are 1A, 1B. But I have Good Will Hunting. The story you get here with Matt Damon and Robin Williams is just incredible. You get this guy who is a super genius but is working as a janitor at a college, not because he wants to be a janitor, but because he really just doesn't have the drive. He is the smartest person everyone knows. He is the most talented person everyone knows. But he decides to hang out at a bar with his friends and be a janitor. And we really don't know what it is about this guy, why he doesn't have this drive, why he can't get himself to do these things. And then you have Robin Williams, who is also a very complicated character, but he's older in his life. He's found himself. He knows where he should be and what he wants. And he is the therapist in this scenario. And, certain things happen and these 2 characters get conjoined, and this is where the movie really takes off. It's these therapy sessions between Robin Williams and Matt Damon. And the beauty of it is you have these 2 characters that, they come together, and even though Matt Damon seems like the troubled child who can't figure out his life and needs to be set in the right path, and Robin Williams seems like the older, wise man who has life all figured out, they're both able to help each other here. And Damon's able to help Robin Williams, find that spark in his life again after his wife passed and get back out there and attack life again. And Robin Williams gives Matt Damon the strength to, go out and use his talents and find a job. And it's just such a beautiful film that if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend you watch this one. And last, but definitely not least, at my number 1, I told you we'd have Quentin Tarantino back on this list one more time, and here he is with Pulp Fiction. The movie that is about absolutely fucking nothing is the greatest movie of all time. The way that this movie just has 4 nothing stories that come together, and at some weird point and in some weird way in the film, they're all woven together and all the stories matter, is absolutely awesome. Even Tarantino writes in the beginning of the film on the screen, Pulp, I don't remember exactly what it is, I'm quoting it here. Pulp is about nothing, this is about nothing, it's all just made up fiction, hence the title. And you just follow these weird, quirky characters all throughout. This movie is insanely quotable. It's like the least boring movie of all time. If you're sleepy and you don't want to go to sleep, you watch Pulp Fiction. There's movies out there that make me fall asleep. This movie does the opposite. It energizes me. I love watching it. It's got some of my favorite characters. I love John Travolta in here. I love Sam Jackson in here. They say dumb shit that, is funny. And Tarantino's dialogue, I think, is at the best point in this film. The way that he can write like everyday conversations but not make them feel mundane, they feel like these brand new exciting sentences, is awesome. I think Tarantino's probably the best dialogue writer in all of movie history, and he'll forever be my favorite director, and this will forever be one of my favorite movies because, like I said, I don't care about great movies. I don't care about these critically acclaimed movies. I'm not that kind of movie reviewer or movie critic at that point, you know. I don't care if Hollywood loves it or if the studio execs love it. For me, I just want a fun time and a meaningful movie. And this movie is fun and it's about nothing, and that is why it is my favorite movie of all time. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a hell of a journey for me. It has taken me months to put this together, so please go ahead and watch all 5 of these videos. It will truly mean a lot to me. I know these lists were very hard to put together. I had to exclude a lot of films, so maybe one day I'll give you guys a longer list with more movies that I can recommend to you guys. And like I said, this is a recommendation. It's not only my top 25, but it's 25 movies I think you guys should watch. So if there's any on here that you haven't seen, please go and check them out and let me know in the comments below what you think of them. If you've seen all of them, let me know also what your favorites are. And if you feel up to it, give me your own top 25 down below. I'll reply back to all your comments and I'll have a conversation with you guys. I appreciate when people click on my videos so much, so if you're gonna go ahead and spend your time watching me, I will gladly spend my time talking to you guys. It makes me so happy. I love doing this channel. So like I said, thank you all so much and have a great day.